Shalom, first and foremost, and give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Hakadash. Give honor to the apostles and the elders, Great Millstone, peace and sanctity to the Akia, and to the elect that are scattered across the four corners of this earth, presenting truth and faith and in all sincerity. I'm your brother Shamala from the GMS Houston camp, and this lesson is going to be entitled Against Us. No problem, we'll just cut off your money. And this comes from an article I read earlier this morning. When I go through reading the news. Um, I read this. You see the title. It says, "Street Preacher says Cash App closed his account for protesting pride events and drag shows." Right. So a street preacher, right, which in the article I believe that he was a Christian or whatever, right, and he was preaching against these certain events, and Cash App just straight closed his account, right, because of what he so like what he was doing, and he was receiving money from the people. They were basically, um, what can you say, supporting him and supporting, his ministry and doing these things. And even though that this guy don't even have the truth, and for them to come up against him that way, how much more us, right, in the times to come, right, and that's soon, right. Who knows when it's going to happen? We know it's coming, and you know that it's not far, all right. So let's read a little bit of the article. I'll try to post it in the description box as well, all right? Because you don't have this website right here. It's a pretty good website, all right, for news. Which is a pastor, activist, and prominent street preacher claims Cash App closed his account because the mobile payment app does not approve of him protesting at LGBT events. Rich Pinks, so it says Cash App, they didn't approve of him protesting, right? So it's like it should show you and tell you, right, you should come to some type of understanding that this is not a righteous society for someone to get penalized for going against that. Right? They say this country, right, you can have freedom of speech, right, freedom to do this and do that. You can be whatever you want to be, but once you take a position or use your freedom of speech, and basically use a position against that, right, against certain things, then you get demonized, right? But thought it was freedom of speech, right? So it's just hypocrisy, and things are basically just selective, right? They're selective towards what can be, considered, freedom, right? But says Rich Pinkowski, these warriors for Christ, a Tennessee-based ministry whose mission is to bring the church back to the faith of the first century, to heal the sick, and to preach the gospel to all of creation, right? And like I said, you don't have the truth, right? Because we know that this truth is only for the Israelites, and we are healing the sick, through the word right now, all right, and preaching the gospel unto all the Israelites that are scattered abroad to different nations, all right. But time will come to where, we will really be healing the sick, all right. Whoever the Most High blesses with that power. It says part, which is going to be of the elect, of course, of Israelites, all right. Part of Pinkowski's work includes regularly traveling around the country to protest drag shows and LGBT events. Up until now, he has used his Cash App account to fund the ministry. Now he tells the Christian Post he lost access to Cash App last week because he speaks out. I found out a few days ago and I did an appeal. He told the outlet Friday. Pinkowski shared that after discovering the account was closed, he decided to call customer service instead of waiting through the platform's appeals process. I called them and I got a customer rep on the phone and I said, "Why did you guys close my account?" He said Pinkowski explained to the Cash App representative that he has held the account for 6 years without a problem. The rep told Pinkowski he was canceled because of a violation of the terms of service. When he pushed for further clarification, Pinkowski was told the platform did not like what he was using the funds for and said, and I said, "What do you mean?" And it's because people would donate money, again, not huge sums of money, but when we travel and go preach at, a drag queen story hour, pride event, or what have you, a lot of people would send cash out for gas money, things like that. Penskowski explained. I said, now you're going to cancel Christian's account because of what we're using the money that people send us for? He asked. Penskowski said the representative got really nasty and told him she was canceling his appeal and then proceeded to hang up the phone. He told CP that he told his followers if they wanted to donate to him, send the money to his wife's Cash App account. Within 24 hours, they kicked her off. He said, right, so he had nothing. He couldn't do nothing on his app because of his profession, because of his stance against those things, right? You know, so right, what I read this said this is not the first time the street preacher has faced pushback for his beliefs. In April, he was ordered to stay silent on social media for 5 years after he expressed his moral and religious concerns and posted about a church that endorses same-sex marriage and in public performance in front of children. All right, so you see what's going on. You know how that basically you speaking up against anything, all right, that might be wrong or that is wrong with this country and the morals and the things they allow, right? They basically come up against you, right? This is Revelation 13 and 15. They're dealing with the beast, right? Which the beast goes into NATO and the EU, right? Which is basically Rome all over again, right? Coming back into power, right? Because Rome was known as the dragon, and America, they don't need you, right? This is the beast, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak, right? Because it speaks about it. They should make an image to the beast, which they was basically going to make displace America, right? You know, basically the whole beast system was going to be structured after Rome through the laws, through the architecture. You know, it's not everything, but you know, like I said, you got certain buildings, you know, certain monuments, right? Using Roman numerals, the laws in Latin. When you're looking up the name of certain body parts, right? It's like Greek and Latin or Latin terms and this and that, right? And when the founding fathers, you know what they called them, basically when they the the idea that they had in mind was to structure this place, after Rome. They said it themselves, right? You can look it up. But it says he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So the image of the beast is basically the whole system, right? It comes back from Rome, right? And also they pushing for, the NWO, right? You know, the New World Order, and they are pushing in a certain direction, right? Babylon is pushing that wine out and expecting you to drink it. And if you don't drink it, something is wrong with you and there's a problem with you, right? And they come up against you. That's why I said that. And it calls that mean as will not worship the image of the beast should be killed. So you ain't down with it, hey, you can lose your life, right? But also, they will demonize you. They can just cut you off from society. It's like, well, hey, what's happened with that dude? He just lost his cash app, but let's say let's say if he had a lot of money sitting in that account, it's like to close it. It's like, damn, all right, what's happening to the funds? I would think that they would send it back to his bank account since they're closing it, right? But who knows? But still, it's like this is my cash app account. Like, why would you close it because of things that I'm preaching, right? Which is obviously right. And who was the And who basically made that decision to think that, okay, we need to cut his account because he's preaching this, and that, right? It had to be somebody who was for it. So, hey, you shouldn't really be surprised once it comes down to us, man. If these Christians can't even catch no slack, right? They really gonna give it to us, right? Because all it's gonna lead into the MOTB, right? It says he caused all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a mark, which goes into the charagma, right? The seal to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, say we have that mark or the name of the beast or the name of his name. So you don't have this, you're not going to be able to operate in society. And if you do have this, they have control over all of your stuff, and they will be able to do what happened, with the man with his cash app, right? They can just shut your stuff off, right? They can just shut your stuff off, man. And everything is basically going digital, and it makes it easier for to track all of your stuff, see what you're buying, your spending habits, telling you what you can buy, you buying too much of this or that, having electric cars. They can, if they want, they can just cut your car off, bro. So everything is moving to that, and if you don't apply by the rules, abide by the rules, I mean, you basically cannot function. Right? So that is the when you go up, and it speaks about Revelation 13:11. I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Right. So a lamb, the two horns basically represent the two parties, right? The Democratic and the Republican. Right? They set an illusion as far as if they're trying to solve issues and solve problems, right? But deep down, they have a deeper agenda. They're not for the people. That's why I say he's big as a dragon, because dragon goes back. Let's see if they have it in here, right? Dracon, which he was a actual guy. I think it's Draco. Draco maybe his name, but it was an Athenian Athenian lawgiver. Let me see if I can pick it up on Google real quick to see if it'll come up. It's not as cool. Athenian lawgiver Draco. Let me see if there's anything in here. Right, Draco, also called Draco. Dracon was the first recorded legislator of Athens in ancient Greece. He replaced the prevailing system of oral law and blood feud by the Draconian constitution, a written code to be enforced only by court of law. Draco was the first democratic legislator requested by the Athenian citizens to be a lawgiver for the city-state. But the citizens had not expected that Draco would establish laws characterized by their harshness. Harsh laws. That's basically what it's going to come down to in this system. His name may be a metaphor, uh, literally means sharp-sighted, not the name of an actual person, since there are reasons to believe that he is also a fiction or entirely in part. This is supported by the lack of blah 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 blah. All right, since the 19th century, the adjective draconian referred to similarly unforgiving rules or laws. So basically, harsh laws, bro. Right, you can look at that up and go into it. I'm gonna come back in and read up on it myself as well. All right, but back to here. So yeah, they gonna come with them harsh laws. Speak as a lamb, like they for the people, but then they gonna start coming with them harsh laws. Hey man, if you don't do this, hey, you out of here. You gonna die, or we just gonna, hey, you just gonna be excommunicated. It's gonna cut you off. All right. Isaiah 59:15. Yea, truth felleth, and he that departed from evil, making himself a prey. So departing from evil, and you're not basically on that the wicked train, so to speak, right? Hey, you are looked at as weird, and as a someone who's full of hate, right? And in your eye, and in their eyes, you basically unrighteous, because who are you to not agree with it? People can do whatever they want to do. People have the freedom to do whatever. It's their life, right? This is their mind. And this is why the world is so fucked, right? But it says, "He that apart from evil make himself a prey." Like I said, this is just a Christian preacher, whatever, street preacher. But we got the actual message, right? We actually preaching Yahweh Shah, whom the world hated back then, and they still hate him today, because all them souls is back. So what you think gonna happen? That's why Yahweh Shah, he always told us, man, what's gonna happen. People gonna deliver us up, rise up against us, family, this is that, being being brought before the government, right? So it's gonna happen, bro. Habakkuk 1 and 4. Therefore the law is slack, and judgment doeth never go forth. For the wicked do compass about the righteous, therefore wrong judgment proceeded, right? So like I said, even though he wasn't preaching the right message, but he's against it, right? He doesn't have the whole truth, but I'm sure he was bringing out, scriptures that, prove the point, against what he was protesting against, right? But, for him to just go into the scriptures and preach against it, right? For him to be basically penalized for that, that's the wrong judgment, right? It's the wrong judgment, and it's going to be the same for us. Wrong judgment is going to come down upon us through this man, draconian judgment, right? But it's all good. It's coming. So this is just thing to pay attention to, and we know what it's going to lead to eventually. All right. So hey, that's the lesson. Hope this is edifying. Hey, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.